Thank you. It is so great to be here. I'm a professor at the University of Notre Dame, and I'm appointed in the Keough School of Global Affairs. I'm also the director of the Just Transformations to Sustainability initiative that the University of Notre Dame launched last year.
You lead the Just Transformations to Sustainability initiative.
Yeah.
What is the main goal, and where do you think the biggest obstacle to sustainability really lie today? In our institutions, in our economic systems, our political leadership, in ourselves?
Yes, that's a great question, and it's a very complex question also. Let me start with the easier part. The main goal of the Just Transformations to Sustainability initiative is to advance work on sustainability and also to imagine sustainability less as a response to challenges or to environmental issues and more as a vision for a positive future in the world. A vision that is animated not by a negative feeling of working on problems, but by a positive understanding of what hope and community and working together can accomplish. I would also say, based on this understanding of sustainability, that our biggest challenges for advancing sustainability often lie in ourselves. Who we are, of course, depends on where we are situated, who our community is, who our political leadership is, because political leadership comes from our actions. So ultimately, to change the world, to advance towards sustainability, we need to model it in our lives, but to work with an outward orientation instead of only focusing on ourselves.
You recently participated in discussions at the Vatican. What role can faith-based institutions and moral leadership play in advancing sustainability? And do qualities such as empathy or compassion or even tenderness have a role to play in building a more sustainable world?
Of course, let me say just maybe a couple of words about what we were doing at the Vatican. It was really at the Centro Laudato Si, Centro Alto Formación Laudato Si, that was founded by Pope Francis and was inaugurated by Pope Leo in September last year. The goal of the work that we were doing was to create a global alliance for the Laudato Si, both in the realm of research but also in the realm of work on the ground. We invited about 70 institutions from different parts of the world to identify and to work with them to understand what it is that they want to do to advance research. And in the conversation, it became very clear that even to advance research on sustainability, we need to think about it with a positive lens in a different way. And the ideas that you mentioned, tenderness, love, I think these are present in the work of both Pope Francis and Pope Leo. When Pope Francis talks about care for our common home, and Pope Leo talks about human dignity, the Magnificat Humanitas encyclical that just was released last month, both of these at the fundamental understanding of what sustainability is about highlight the importance of love and empathy. Without care for our fellow creatures, without care for our fellow human beings, without care for ourselves, we are not going to advance sustainability. We have to connect who we are with those around us, with the creation around us, and only then is sustainability going to be achievable.
Among the many environmental and social challenges we face today, which one concerns you the most? And despite these challenges, what gives you the greatest hope to the future?
You know, I worked on an initiative, the Transformative Change Assessment, for 3 years before I came to Notre Dame. And I am struck by the affinity and by the relationship between what we did for the assessment and what I'm learning at Notre Dame through Catholic social teaching. I think the biggest challenges we came to understand are about human beings disarticulating, separating themselves from nature and from other human beings. They're about a focus on prioritizing our immediate short term material interests above everything else. They are about willingness to live with massive levels of inequality and concentration of power and wealth. These are the biggest challenges to sustainability. What gives me hope are the tens of thousands of efforts all around the world where people are actively trying to work against these trends, against these directions in what our leaders often are trying to do. That's what gives me hope. The work that individual humans, that different actors, that different social groups are advancing by themselves, often without support from the government or by political leaders.
We often hear that we need profound transformations to address today's environmental challenges. In your experience, where do such transformations begin? With the major political and institutional decisions, or with thousands of small changes in the way people live, think, and act?
When we make the contrast between profound actions and radical actions to achieve sustainability, and the small scale individual or group or community based efforts to advance sustainability, I think we create a false dichotomy. Even the most profound transformations are ultimately the result of hundreds of thousands of millions of people working together in a direction that is aligned, in a direction that is necessary. It doesn't matter if a government says, I will do this or I will do not, if the people don't follow. I think it is critical for us to understand the importance of working on our own, even if nobody else follows us. Because ultimately, it is us who are going to make the world sustainable. It is our actions multiplied millions of times by many people all over the world that are going to bring about change in the world. Our political leaders will follow. They are not always leaders. They're often the ones who follow what people want and what people do.
And finally, thank you very much for this interview. If you could share one message to people who want to contribute to a kinder and more just world, what would it be, and how can we do good in the world today?
Well, that's a very important question, and I'm afraid I don't have a single message that would be everything. I would say, even when things appear overwhelming and things appear as if it's impossible to bring about change, we can do things at our individual levels that make a difference. I would say we need to not only act ourselves, but to find others who are like us and work with them. But most importantly, we need to be able to communicate and work with people who are not like us. We need to be able to identify where it is that there is still, despite differences, the possibility of doing things together. So reach out, talk to others, and do things. Don't only think about doing things.
Thank you so much for inspiring us today.
Thank you. I'm really so happy that you could talk with me today.